Hi everyone, I'm Andrea at Movers and Bakers. Today I'm going to show you my dairy-free carrot cake that I'm making for a very good friend's birthday. Let's get baking. First, carrot cake is the simplest cake to make. First I'm going to put in my mixer, I'm going to put all my wet ingredients plus sugar. So I've got my oil going in. Now I'm using oil instead of butter, which is traditionally used in carrot cake. To that I'm going to add buttermilk. Now this is dairy-free buttermilk. I have made it doing a mixture, a half and half mixture of dairy-free yogurt and a milk alternative. In this case I've used almond milk, but you can absolutely use oat milk or any other milks that you've got. To that I'm going to add my grated carrots. We have lots here because it's a carrot cake. So I'm going to pop all those in, and to that I'm going to add 2 eggs. And my last ingredient in here is my sugar. And all I'm going to do with that is pop it in and give it a mix, and you're just wanting to mix it all through. So that literally takes about 30 seconds to bring it all together. That's all you need there. Now that all my wet ingredients have been mixed together, I'm going to sift together my dry ingredients. So into a big bowl, I'm going to put my flour. Oh, I've just realized I forgot to put my vanilla in as well. So into my wet ingredients, my vanilla should have gone as well. So I'm just going to tip that in and give it another whisk for another 10 seconds or so. That was my mistake. Easily done, all sorted, no problem. Right, back to my dry ingredients. To my flour, I'm also going to add baking powder, bicarbonate of soda, salt, cinnamon, nutmeg, and a little tiny bit of cloves, ground up cloves. You absolutely don't need to put the cloves in, but it gives a really beautiful warmth that I love in carrot cake. I'm going to sift all this together, dump this in there, mix it up, and we are good to go. And of course, it smells amazing with all the spices. For those of you who have watched my other videos, you'll know that I like to make sure that everything's mixed all the way to the bottom. So I'm going to give it a quick stir. So to that, I'm going to add my raisins and my walnuts. And I'm just going to fold them in, and then my cake mixture is ready to go into my tins. So this mixture makes 3 cakes worth. So all I'm going to do, I've got my tins here that I've greased and I've lined at the bottom with parchment paper, and I will pop them in my oven, split them as evenly as you can into 3, and I'll pop them in my oven for about 35 minutes to cook. My oven's been preheating at 170, and I shall see you on the other side with cakes. Right, icing time. So I am using substitutes for what I would normally use for a cream cheese. So I've got some Trex here, which is basically oil-based. So that's going to go in my bowl. And along with that, I'm also going to put in some dairy-free cream cheese. And I'm just going to beat them up, super easy. I'm going to add my lemon juice and give it a quick mix again. Perfect. Now I have my icing sugar. I have sifted this icing sugar. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to add this in 2 or 3 batches and then mix it up. And that is now ready for my vanilla to go in. So I'm just going to put my 1 teaspoon of vanilla in and give it another mix through. Oh, got me. And that is beautiful cream cheese frosting ready to go on our cakes. Right, I have my cake stand ready. I always like to put a little blob in the middle of my cake stand or cake board, just because it holds the cake really still and stops it wriggling around. So I'm going to be making this as a quasi-naked cake. I'm not going to be covering the sides. I'm just putting icing in between each layer, and then I shall put the layers on top and decorate the very top of it. This will need to live in the fridge until it has been consumed, because the icing will just melt and become a big gooey mess, and that's not what you want. It does taste delicious. All right, second layer of cake done. Now normally when I do cakes, if I do on the sides of it, I would do a crumb coating. But in this case, because I'm not covering the sides, I'm not worrying too much about doing a crumb coating. Awesome. Last layer of cake on. Just press it down a little bit just to help the layers stay together. And this frosting is beautiful. This icing is absolutely beautiful, but it is very, very, very soft. I just want to give it a kind of very rough naked cake kind of coat around the sides. So I'm not covering it properly, but I just want to even it out. So all I'm doing with a little bit of icing is I'm just going around and pushing it in the gaps and smoothing it with the end of my palette knife as I go. And it just gives it, even though the crumbs are falling off, it just gives it a bit of a fuller, tidier edge. So for my decoration, I'm going to keep it really simple. I've got some chopped up walnuts here. I'm just going to put a few walnuts on top. So from my experience with using dairy-free alternatives to a cream cheese frosting, I actually find that it's not as stable when not in the fridge. So you may find that you need to pop it in the fridge a bit more often than you would with regular buttercream or even a regular dairy cheese frosting. Right, so I have made myself a couple of little paper cones. So what I'm going to do with my cones is I'm going to put some of my icing into it and snip the end off, and then I'm just going to use it to pipe little carrots. And there you have it, my dairy-free carrot cake recipe. Don't forget to like this video if you've enjoyed it. Do subscribe and do share my channel with others. I'm obviously not going to cut into this cake to show you what it's like on the inside because it's a cake for my friend's birthday, but I know she will really enjoy this. I shall see you next time. Happy baking!